think it's a beautiful way you put it because it's not only burdening to you, it is kind of giving us a picture of how much uh, NRIs go through before they
Yeah.
become NRIs as we see them. Uh, I have a thought here that I want to ask you about. Where is the happiness in the vulnerability part? Because I saw you smiling also very often when you were visualizing. Okay, this is the time that I did this, and this is the time I asked for work. Now there is a lot of humble pie that you have to. Uh, so how do you find happiness in it? What makes you happy besides that fantasy of one day everything will be fine and you will have a mansion on Beverly Hills and all, which I hope you do and you call me. But
No, for sure. So there are two aspects to this, right? One is that learning, like the learning and the growth that comes with this whole process. And it's a whole process, like the whole, moving and settling down and every experience that comes with it and everything that you face. And there's a lot of rejection that you'll face. Also, being pandemic, and because of pandemic, like everything that I'm saying, people might even be able to relate to it because people who've not even moved have been going through
yeah,
multiple rejections and loss of career or loved ones
income.
or XYZ, people have been going through that loss and that feeling that I'm talking about, just feeling constantly vulnerable. Also, pandemic has made all of us feel very vulnerable, and so many people didn't even know, or they had to just face that side of theirs, which again
Yeah.
was a first timer for a lot of people. But coming back to your question of you asked me whether
What is the happiness in this?
happiness. Yeah, so one is that the growth that comes with it and the feeling of accomplishment after you've managed to grow or learn whatever you've had to learn from that particular experience. That is one thing. And the second one for me, this one is big because I'm into yoga. It's the way it diminishes your ego. It makes your ego so small. You literally feel that you start understanding that I'm just a very, there are so many things beyond you. And you come, you meet different people from different cultures, and it's just a very humbling feeling, like you said. It makes you feel that we come with a certain baggage saying that I'm this and I have this experience and so many things about yourself that worked in that society and that worked in that culture. And obviously you will, your sense of identity, your sense of this is who I am, these are my skills, this is how talented I am or not talented I am, whatever it is, it comes from the society that you've come from. And none of that might apply here. None of that might apply here. Like you might be maybe super talented in organizing, like you might think that I'm very organized in India, but you might come here, work in an industry and feel that no, like I used to feel I'm organized because I was working in an unorganized industry, and that's why compared to that whole, so the parameters change, all of that. So your ego becomes very small, and I feel that you start looking at things very differently. The growth happens. So I feel that is also in a way like what are you looking for in your life, right? Are you looking for comfort or are you looking for growth? Because these two seldom go hand in hand. Like you have to make yourself uncomfortable if you want to grow. And growth is growth. The happiness or the joy that comes with it and the learning that comes with it, goes on your whole life. So it's something. It's an asset actually.
Okay. One last question that is running in my head is um, you talked about how the ego comes down because I think that's the story of everybody who gets settled in a different area, even within the same nation. Sometimes when you have to go to a new place, find a new job, or make new friends, every new experience brings with it the sense of uh, feeling diminished in some manner. You
Yeah.
call it ego. I would not want to give it a name for people who do not. What you're saying is your experience holds good in a certain set of circumstances, and when put out of that set of circumstances, you may actually have a different experience.
Correct.
So, which may affect your confidence or whatever you think you have had going for you. So now my
Yeah.
question is, sometimes it has been noticed that people, I'm just pushing this to get another perspective. And people who come from abroad and start talking to us in India, back in India, they have a sense of, oh, we are better off than you are, or that kind of thing. So, what is exactly that? What is that at play? And I want to know on a deeper level. On a superficial level, one understands. Obviously, you move to the West because the West has its discipline about infrastructure sorted, more or less.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about organized sector and unorganized sector in events, I think it's about countries also. We pride ourselves on Jugaad. It's not that um, we aren't sorry about it. I think we feel that, oh, we can manage anything. And obviously, there are good points about that as well at times. But I'm saying when the tables turn and when people who go abroad and come back, or if they've come back for a little while, what is it that makes them so antagonistic to what what one could consider their roots? I mean, roots in terms of not only that they are Indians, but just the fact that they've worked with the same system for many years before they landed on this. So, what do you think is your take on this? Because again, it's a vulnerability thing. Sometimes you are the vulnerable one. Sometimes you're making somebody else vulnerable. So, what is it that we are dealing with here?
I like this question so much, and I was just kind of thinking about all being on both the sides, where I
Yeah.
have been on that side, and I have had this question a lot of times that sometimes a very dear friend moves abroad and they come back after a year or 2 years or 5 years, whatever that is, and the whole attitude change, and you having to deal with that and accept that this person is, I don't know, whatever that is. And what is that's what you're asking, that what is that aspect, that what is it that makes people behave like that, and what is it that shifts. So one is that I hope that I don't become like that. And if I ever come back to India and you see me behaving like that, please feel free to call me out. And it's a couple of things. I feel that there's so much of adjustment that you go through once you move here. You literally change a lot of your beliefs from the core. Like your core beliefs have to change, because otherwise you'll be left behind here to just to be coping with this culture and this society. So I feel that in the process of unlearning all of that and learning the new culture, sometimes what happens is that it's that either or concept where people are so black and white. It's either or. They don't know how to live in between. They don't know that there is an in between way. It doesn't have to be either or. You can still have respect, and you can still have um, value for everything that you had back from India and everything that you still carry with you, and you can still be able to cope with the new things that you are being forced to cope with, or you have to cope with because now you're not in India anymore. And I feel it's that if you realize that, for example, okay, for me, because I also practice yoga, I also realized that when we're talking about yoga in the West and when we're talking about yoga in India, it's so different. And I value the Indian way so much more, because I realized that I mean, yoga used to be a subject in our schools. That's how much we try and integrate yoga in our life and in our society, things like that. Here, people get introduced to yoga like it's only since a couple of years or decades that people have been introduced to yoga. Now, the thing is that because yoga being such an integral part of our upbringing, we are used to, like, our beliefs, our principles, our ethics are all designed around that, which you don't find here. And it's about knowing that what you need to take from there and what you need to take from here, and being a person who's being able to hold. See, it's also holding that space for yourself, right? That I don't have to, just because if I'm here for example, 10 years, 20 years down the line, it doesn't mean that I need to lose touch or value or respect for all the things that India has to offer. And you can hold that, both these things, and
Balance.
it's about that balance, and it's about knowing that, it's about discernment, all of that. So yeah, it's that either or problem where people think it's either this or that, and it can't, both can't coexist because they are so different. But it's not true. It's
Yeah,
not true.
I think it's been a beautiful talk because we started with vulnerability of a certain kind, but so many different aspects have been covered. Uh,
Yeah.
covered industry and nations and the world in general. Thank you so much for your time, and I have enjoyed this talk thoroughly. And it's been a fantastic beginning to a series that I'm looking forward to because, uh, funnily enough, when one thinks about the topic, also the vulnerable me, one thinks, oh, this is going to be a oh, I'm so sorry for myself kind of topic, or God knows what we'll be getting into. And the whole uh, ambience that this chat with you has created for me at least is so happy and so content
Yeah.
instead of being in the space that I was fearing it would go, and I would have to kind of moderate it a little more, but I didn't have to almost do anything. So I'm hoping this is the beginning of many good tidings uh, with this uh, new venture. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us.
Thank you so much for bringing me in, and I love that I'm kickstarting this series. And if you don't mind, I want to like actually read a quote about vulnerability. That I'm reading a book currently which has something on vulnerability, and it's beautiful, and it's talking about how opposites can exist. And this was what we ended the question with, right? Like it
Please,
can't,
yeah,
it's not
please.
always either or, and between that there's that vulnerability that you keep switching in and off. So this is what it says: we need to experience vulnerability to recognize that we are not invincible.
Ah,
We can't exist alone, an island unto ourselves. Rather, we belong to something larger, whether it's family, community, this beautiful earth we live on, or a spiritual home. We need the other, and we are responsible for the other, for the world. So, this is where vulnerable, this is the quote, and it's from a book called Wild Power. And this is what vulnerability is about, right? It's about that space. It's
yeah,
vulnerability is actually a space. And you have to be comfortable being in that space. And you have to understand that that space is not about being weak or being moppy. And, like, it's not about that. It's about that softness. It's about allowing yourself to be there and experience that discomfort, and there's nothing wrong with it. Vulnerability is beautiful, and it's completely fine, and I think all of us should talk about it more. So yeah,
wonderful.
thank you
Thank
very
you
much
so
for
much.
calling me.
Yeah, thank you so very much. I shall see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, take care, bye.
Bye.